What's up, sports fans? It's your boy, the Black Handicap. I'm back. I'm back for another episode of These Three Things. You know what time it is? It's the Florida Big Three Rankings. It's time for the Florida Big Three Rankings. Like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our great content. Got a great episode about the Florida State game on Friday. Check that out. Also got an interesting episode on 3 things I've learned about college football after week 5 of this season right here, right? We're starting to see what college football is going to look like now that NIL and the transfer portal have kind of settled in. We kind of got a pattern of how things are going to work. So catch my 3 things and thoughts about that. But this is the Florida Big Three Rankings. This is when we, as Florida college football fans, look at who's top dog in the Sunshine State. You know, Florida, Texas, right, and California. Those are the 3 big states for college football. For football in general, right? But Florida, one of the biggies in college football. This is where a lot of talent's coming out. It's going across the country, right? You go to any roster of any top 5 team. Go to look at Ohio State. Go look at Penn State, right? All have Florida players, all right? So this is a hotbed of talent. So we like to look at the Florida Big Three Rankings. It just means more here, and that ain't the SEC. That's Florida college football. So, hey, had the big upset. Noles go down. UCF jumped into Big 12 play, lost to Kansas State. And I did a during the off season, I did a 3 things podcast about UCF and Scott Frost. And one of the things I was wondering is, does UCF have the talent? And I think yesterday is where we saw the talent gap for UCF, right? Scott Frost didn't have a lot of time to go out and recruit and build the team that he wants. He just had to take what he had, scoop a couple of guys, and kind of go out there and do what he could with what he had. Not a bad job, right? He was competitive yesterday, but I think he had a little bit of a talent gap, right? I think Kansas State just had a little more talent than Scott Frost and UCF, so it was hard for them to find a way to win. I think that's going to be the case for them throughout the rest of the offseason. I was thinking maybe that his defensive prowess, right, could make things happen and maybe slow teams down, but just didn't have enough against Kansas State. And they dropped a good game. They didn't get embarrassed, but I think the talent gap is what's going to plague Scott Frost and the UCF Knights for the rest of this season in terms of Big 12 play. But hey, I'm still rooting for Scott Frost. I'm a big fan. Miami had the week off, so they're sitting back, feet kicked up. They're licking their chops because they saw what happened to Florida State. I think Miami fans are feeling good right now. Don't get cocky, Miami. All right, don't get too cocky. All right, we still don't know how good you are, right? We don't know how good your defense is. I had a couple Miami fans hit me up during the break. Oh man, our defense is great. Look what they did to Florida. All right, see, here we go. See, you're doing the same thing Noles fans did with their win over Miami. You clutch into a victory that doesn't have the value that you think it does, all right? Somebody says, oh, look, Lagway never threw the ball once deep against our defense. Lagway hasn't thrown the ball deep all season, Canes fans. So don't judge anything off of what you did against the Florida Gators, unless you look at the fact that the Gators shut your offense down for basically 2.5 quarters, right? And you didn't get back on track till the end of the game when it was in junk time. That's what I would be worried about. But I wouldn't be worried about it against the Noles because it doesn't look like the Noles defense can stop the run, and that's how Miami's built, right? Miami's built on the trenches. It doesn't look like the Seminoles have what it takes, right, to win, to stop the Miami Canes run game. If Miami is as tough in the trenches as they want us to believe. Yeah, you beat Notre Dame, but Notre Dame has dropped 2 games. How good is the Notre Dame squad? They beat Arkansas. Arkansas fired their coach. That tells you everything you need to know about Arkansas, all right? So still a lot of questions up in the air. I'm excited to see this game at Doak Campbell. I think it's going to be more competitive than people think. I still think that Miami takes the win, but maybe not in the blowout. Some might believe it will be. It's a rivalry game, right? So something's going to happen, just like Bama and Georgia. Rivalry game. Even though I don't think Bama's that good, they just manned up. Even though they went in between the hedges and got that W. Man, that's tough. But Kirby ain't worried about it, right? Kirby's like, I'm just going to win out, and I'm still going to make the playoff. All I'm really playing for is the playoff right now. So what's going to happen at Doak Campbell should be interesting. Florida off. I don't know. I think they might have got beat by the bye week. I think they might have lost by a field goal to the bye week. One thing that this week did show me as a Gators fan that Billy got to go. There's something definitely wrong in Gainesville. I watched all these other competitive games and all these good teams, and I said, man, something wrong in Gainesville because Florida doesn't look anything like this. They don't look like a good team. They're not playing like a good team. Kirk Herbstreit said it. He talked about it during the game. It's just like there's no energy in this squad. They look dead. They look flat. It's obvious something's wrong. There's either a lack of belief in Lagway or a lack of belief in Napier, or both, right? Or maybe there's a lack of belief in Napier because they don't believe in Lagway and they feel like a change should be made and he's not making it, right? Or whatever it is, play calling, whatever it is, things are bad in Gainesville. I think the Gators are the worst team, one of the worst teams in college football. That's a big time statement. They are one of the worst teams in college football right now. So interesting to see what happens to Napier after this week with Texas. All right, so anyway, without further ado, the Florida Big Three rankings this week. So number 3, who's coming in number 3? Number 3, I'm still going with the UCF Knights, right? I dogged y'all coming into the season. I didn't give you a whole lot of love, but I'm still outranking you over USF. You've got a tougher schedule. Kansas State is a top 25 team. They're ranked. You went in, you held your own, you look good, you stay in. You're number 3, UCF Knights. Number two, still going to give it to Florida State Seminoles, right? You didn't win, but I think UVA is a pretty good team. I think there's some things that you gotta bone up on. I think that you're still a number 2 team in the state. You're still a number 2 team. If UCF had won that game, yeah, you dropped to number 3, right? You're still maybe the number 3 team. I mean, maybe I should give, the reason I won't give UCF the benefit of the doubt is because you took Virginia into overtime, right? But Virginia wasn't ranked, but you took it into overtime. Very surprised you lost that game in overtime. I thought Gus Malzahn was going to own that overtime. Didn't get it done, right? There's some issues with Castellanos. He's got to tighten up, right? If you go watch the FSU UVA podcast episode, I talk about Castellanos. I think he's got to tighten up a little bit. I don't know if he really understands what it means to be the big dog at Florida State. All that little fancy schmancy, all that yakety yak. You can talk that you won against Bama, but now you got to show up, right? And you didn't show up against Virginia. You better show up against Miami. It's a different deal coming in the dope. Don't do well in that game and watch how things change for you, brother. And number 1, Miami, University of Miami Hurricanes. Obviously, didn't play this week. Nothing happened, or Florida State didn't do anything to make me believe that they were better than them. So the Canes stay top dog. Going up to Doak this week to face the Seminoles. Should be interesting. I can't wait to see this game. I think it's going to be really close. I still think the Canes are going to nip them at the end. I think it could get out of hand. If Florida State's defensive line is as bad as they looked against UVA, then it's going to be a long day. And I guess that's assuming as well that if Cristobal's trench warfare is as tough as he wants it to be and is as tough as Miami fans think it is, right? Cristobal always keeps a pretty good offensive line. That's what he's known for. He's a former offensive lineman, right? So that's what he knows. He knows how to build an offensive line. That's been his calling card as a college coach. And so I expect the end of this game maybe to get out of hand. It's just going to start running all over the Noles. But see, here's the thing. I believe that Malzahn is just as good an offensive coach and play caller as Cristobal is an offensive line coach. And so I think Malzahn can keep the Noles in the game if Castellanos doesn't get sloppy like he did against UVA, if the rest of the Noles don't get sloppy like they did against UVA. But Castellanos is going to have to step up a notch if he's going to win against the Miami Hurricanes, a much better team than the Cavaliers. But there you go. That's the Florida Big Three rankings for Week 5. All right, so I finally got it all figured out. I was 6-4. It's Week 5. AP said Week 5, so I'm calling it Week 5. All right, going with the Associated Press right there. They're official. So anyway, tell me how you feel in the comments. Like, subscribe, comment, let me know. It's your boy Black Andy back. We'll be back midweek. Check some things out. Got some basketball stuff coming. All right, got some Orlando Magic 3 things coming at you. So look for that one. Peace.